first of all, David, if you don't know him, he has developed this thing called the iOgrapher, which is, I know a lot of you are professionals and you use professional equipment and stuff like this, but this thing is really cool and it's cheap. And I think it's really, really good, and I wanted him to come here and show how he did it and what it is and how it might help you guys. So it is called the iOgrapher, and David is a media arts and animation instructor at the award-winning San Marino High School in Southern California. And he's an avid reviewer and influencer in the post-production community, and you should know this guy, really. I mean, if you're not paying attention. He writes for Post Magazine and his own site, Filmmaking Central, and you should bookmark that site. He is an Adobe educational leader and a fanatic about using iPads for teaching, content creation, and social media. Please welcome Dave Basulto.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for letting me come here. Like you said,
Speak into the microphone.
Mike, speak into the microphone. Okay, let's start this up. So I'm Dave Basulto. I teach media arts and animation at San Marino High School. Most of you know San Marino is like an affluent area in Pasadena area, and I'm an Adobe education leader. I've been with them forever. And the one thing I never thought I would be was an inventor. And people say, "Oh, you're an inventor." I made this thing out of necessity. So we'll talk about that in a second. So a while ago, we have at my school, because we're so affluent, we have a Red camera, we have Blackmagic cameras, we have Canon broadcast cameras, we're on Mac Pro workstations, all running CC, etc. But I have 130 students, so I always ran into trouble with, hey, this week this assignment's gonna be a documentary on blah, blah, blah. And 130 students want to use all the cameras, and there's like 6 of them. So I could never get enough content that I wanted from these kids, so I would start letting them use their iPhones and iPads. And I was getting this really, because basically the bottom line is I want stories to be told. And I was getting this really shaky, horrible footage, sometimes even portrait view, and I've completely outlawed that in my classroom. They get an instant F if they do portrait. Yes, and they think it's cool, but it's not. And then so and the audio was always bad, the lighting, or etc. And I started going, God, I got to create. I've got to find something that I like that will stabilize this footage. I want to put it on a tripod. I want handles to do some kind of a steady cam move, and I didn't really see anything out there that I liked, especially for the iPad Mini, which I really love. Basically because it's such an inexpensive tool to get started with. So I started sketching this thing on the paper app on the iPad and running it across my students. I'm not the greatest drawer, by the way. And I would run it by my students. Hey, is this cool? Would you use this? Is this something you would try out? And they started giving me feedback, and eventually we came up with this final design. And then I made a couple of 3D prints, and we were talking about that earlier. There's a place in New York called shapeways.com, and basically if you can spit out what's called an STL file from Cinema 4D or Maya or whatever, you can send it to them and they'll create whatever you make, send it back to you in a couple weeks. So I did that out of Cinema 4D, made this design, sent it out there, they spit it back to me. It was like $200 to make a working prototype. So all of a sudden I had this 3D printed working prototype. I could put lights on and lenses. It was threaded. I could put it on a tripod. It was just, I mean, I'm old enough that was unheard of in the old days, right? You wanted to invent something, you had to make a mold and a prototype or whatever, you know. So the kids started using it in class, and I started having people ask me. Other schools would come in and see our program, visit us, because teachers have to do that once in a while. And they'd say, oh man, we can't afford this stuff. I'm really trying to get my program going. I said, well, why don't you get an iPad Mini? They're $320. You can have an animation program. You can have a shoot video. You can stream things live. You can edit on it. I mean, everything, take photography, whatever. Everything's there for you. And so we started getting, hey, well, can I buy one of those? And I didn't want to charge everyone $200 for these little 3D junky prints. So I said, hey, I'm going to try this Kickstarter thing. So that being said, before I started Kickstarter, I had dark hair, okay? It was, I don't know if any of you have done Kickstarter, but it was one of the most stressful times in my life. If you like investing in penny stocks that go up and down, that's that Kickstarter. So we set a modest goal, about 15 grand or something like that. We ended up getting 17 grand, but it was going like this for 30 days. And, oh, we're not going to make it. Oh, we're going to make it. No, we're not going to make it. And luckily, through the process, we started getting some buzz. Forbes.com did a nice article on us, and Mashable, and we started getting, hey, everyone liked the story of the teacher trying to help the students and make, blah, blah, blah. When little do they know I just want to be rich. So we successfully did it, and then the fun really started to begin. Now it was getting things ready, getting the mold process. I mean, you're talking, I have no idea what injection molding was before this, or fulfillment, or any of that stuff. So we took some of these pieces, our demos, prototypes, sorry. We took them to NAB, because I go report there every year, and I started 8 years ago shooting stuff for Post Magazine, video interviews. Just carry these big cameras and like lugging stuff around. My neck always hurt. So this time we just had these things set up, plugged into XLR microphones, wireless mics, lights, everything. And we were interviewing all of our stuff. I usually take one of my students every year. So this year I took a student who's like 6'1" blonde with her mom. And she's actually a starting pitcher at Arizona right now. So we went, she wants to be a broadcaster, so she started interviewing all these people, and we were being followed by these 4 guys everywhere. They were like stalking us. And finally they stopped us, and they were Apple engineers. And so they just really loved it, and they've been on my corner ever since that time. So flash forward, this is where we're at now. So we did that, and it's really exciting that that's finally been born, because it was a huge process over the summer. We had to make the molds in China because it was just so expensive to create a mold here. It was like 3 times as much money. And we're doing everything in Chino, California. I wanted to make everything here in the USA, so we're doing all that. This is some of my kids. I send them out there. They're able to go out there and film these projects on the fly. And really learn. I can focus more on having them tell stories now, okay, which was a big thing for me. And they just love going out there and shooting, give them assignments. So I'm getting a lot more content. They're getting more foundations from it, okay. We're starting to do, so we're shooting football right here, but we actually stream all of our football games live with that device right there. That's the full-size iPad. So we'll stream it up from the top of the stadium, free on an app called High School Cube. Have a telephoto lens on that, and we plug it in XLR to the headsets of the announcers. So we're getting we're getting great audiences. I mean, nothing like Super Bowl or anything, but but we're getting all these families from across the country, relatives, etc., and they're now online with us, and they're asking questions, and we're able to relay that, or they're trying to say hello to so and so, and it's just a very interactive experience. It's funny, so my field production team, which is all my production stuff we do in the class, there's a special team for them, and every year since I've been teaching for 6 years now, for 5 of the 6 years they've been girls. So the girls usually come out and they're just strong, and they take over the whole program. It's pretty funny. So we do green screen shoots. In fact, there's a great app, Filmic Pro, that we use, and you can actually key out everything right on the app. It does a really good job. And that girl on the right there is my news team producer. I'm sorry. She actually is one of the Rose Princesses this year, so she's pretty cool. We lost her. And then I geek myself out by putting 35mm lenses on my iPad. Okay. So I just love the depth of field and etc. And it's just so fun to do. I put the big lenses on and we go crazy.
Does that come with that adapter? You sell that adapter?
No. In fact, I actually want to develop a better one than that. That's like $180, and it's really not put well together. It does the job, but it's kind of. If you don't have things, it's not put together well at all, but it does the job once you get it set up. It just takes forever to set up. So that's a lot of fun. But anyway, this is what we're doing. We're doing B-roll, we're streaming, we're editing on it. Adobe has a kind of, I shouldn't even say this, but they have a secret little thing for the iPad that's coming out in another couple months. Anyway, and then we use Final Cut, our what do you call it, iMovie, I'm sorry. Exactly. We do a lot of indie filmmaking. You can color correct on it. Use Magic Bullet has an app that we use to bring the footage in. You can color it and do all those fun things like a Magic a Bullet kind of thing. Previs, we do our previs with that. Go out there and have them storyboard with storyboard apps, and then we can deliver everything to the world. So it's pretty fun. It's been amazing. The people. I don't have any kind of budget to really. Go out there and market the hell out of this. So it's been a lot of word of mouth, our Facebook page and Twitter, etc. And people are just coming out of the woodwork that are buying it. Schools, the Canadian curling team just bought 10 of them. So I thought that was kind of fun. And just different universities, Purdue's agricultural school bought them. They're using it at the University of Arizona in their special needs department because the kids can use the handles. And then this is kind of cool. This is the University of Oregon. They sent me this little video, so I'll share it with you.
This is a project called Need to Know, and our website is needtoknow.tv.
Which is going to be a series of 60-second to 90-second clips about hot topics in the news.
These really short snippets that people can get on the go. They could get it on their phone, they could get it on their iPad, and they could just come in and watch it really quick and then have a short synopsis of key bullet points and themes that they need to know. We're using a mini iPad and a device called an iOgrapher, which is basically a case that goes around the iPad.
But it's also using this new software called TouchCast, where people can actually interact with the videos.
The live tweet feeds and the live web pages that I'm putting up on the page, you can click on them in touchcast.com itself, and it will redirect you to that web page.
So if we're talking about a location, they can pull up the map. If we're talking about an article, they can scroll through that article. I'm Zana Bregley, and here
on the website itself, you won't be able to interact with them, but you'll be able to see the content. And then if you are curious, or you have more time you can spend, you can go and actually read that article somewhere else.
So it should be really cool. Just take 90 seconds to get to know about a topic that maybe everyone's talking about, but you're not quite sure what it's really focused on.
Out of the blue said, hey, you might like this video. I go, yeah, thank you. It's going on the website. So that's it. I mean, and the TouchCast app, if any of you have ever tried that, it's an amazing app. You shoot your video. You can, they have these things called V-apps or VAPs, and you can have your Twitter feed up there. You can have pictures or video or links to web pages. And they can run, so you have your person you're interviewing, they can be running alongside of them. You can actually go, oh, I want them over here, kind of Minority Report-ish, if you have it all done right. And as the audience, you can watch this and go, oh yeah, that's cool, I want to know more about that, I'll click on that. And we're using it a lot for students, for the projects for like history class. It's about talking about President Lincoln, so instead of them just seeing the student talking about President Lincoln, he actually says, okay, click here, and it'll take you to the Gettysburg Address, or whatever. And the student can watch it and go, oh, I want to see that. So it'll click and open up the other content. And it's very interactive. And the kids, you got to keep them constantly entertained, let me tell you. So that's it. But anyway, so we're doing. So we got the iPad Mini. We got the big iPad right there. We're going to make one for the iPhone right now, 5 and 5S. I wanted them to keep relatively inexpensive, over $65 is our price point. And we just got to B&H today, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and I'm just thrilled. I'm going on a tour with Apple in the 4th for Apple Education to the East Coast to go see Harvard and all these other schools, K through 12 and higher ed, to show them, how to use content like this in the classroom and stuff. So it's pretty fun.